Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to another episode of Telling Everybody Everything. I have just been watching Bad Bunny's Super Bowl performance again. Am I watching it for him? Am I watching it because he enlisted like the hottest 500 women in America to twerk and to dance and to just be so Latina and fabulous during the performance? I don't know. I loved everything about it. I loved everything about the performance, especially how angry it made certain conservatives in America who were like, he's not a great American artist. It's like, well, he is American. No, he's from Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Good luck with that school system. I was not aware of Bad Bunny's greatness. And he reminds me of an Italian gentleman that I spoke about on the podcast just a few weeks ago, who's just such an old school, incredible entertainer. And whomever is responsible for the booking of Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl, like whether you speak Spanish or not, whether you understand what was going on, whether you knew the music or not, it was just such a vibe. And I think what arouses women is very different to what arouses men in my personal experience with like what I like and also what my friends like. This man, like if I was looking at a photo of him, so let's say when I saw him at the Grammys, he was in the lineup, like I saw his outfit, I saw his face. I was not immediately attracted to him. I had no idea who he was. The words Bad Bunny had been like banded around. I don't think it's a great name. I knew that he at one point dated Kendall Jenner, but I don't know a lot about this man. Not attracted to him. Then as soon as he gets on stage, like the pure showmanship and confidence that he had, and he kind of was like resting his hands on his crotch a lot, but without grabbing it in a Michael Jackson way. And the way that he was dressed, he just had really broad shoulders. But for me, it was mostly just the vibe, like just the cool, calm confidence that he had. He could be singing about anything. He could be singing about baked beans up there. I don't know the words, but it's such a vibe. And he's got so much presence. But also what turns me on, I think, is like when we watch sexy women dancing, a lot of women that I know, and myself included, we're not like turned on by those women, but I think we imagine ourselves to be those women. I'm watching them twerk and I'm like, I sort of look like that when I dance. I definitely don't. But just the presence of loads of sexy women dancing makes me feel like maybe I'm sexy too. And I think men are turned on by women, and women are often turned on by ourselves. Like we're turned on by how a man like that would make us feel because he's so confident and so like big and strong. And we're turned on by like just being cute and sexy. Like in one of my relationships, I never fancied this man like whatsoever. So, I mean, I invested several years with someone I didn't fancy, but I was really young at the time and I fancied myself with him. I think this is why not to say Bad Bunny is unattractive. He's certainly not. Like, I think we're all quite obsessed with Bad Bunny now. He has made a fan for life. Oh my gosh, did you know he sings da-da-da gasolina? Did not know that. Did not know that. But if you went abroad on holiday when that song was out, it was all that they would play at a resort. What a hit. I don't know why I was in this relationship, but I think people get into relationships sometimes with like a man they don't fancy or an ugly man because it makes you just feel really good about yourself. You're like, I am so sexy. He must see me as being super sexy. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. He just thinks like he can get sexy women now, but I digress. Bad Bunny Super Bowl, if you haven't seen it, see it. There were cameos, like a little dance scene from some famous Latinas and people of Latin origin, I suppose. I think Pedro Pascal, Cardi B. I didn't really know who else was there, but Cardi B. I was really interested in her appearance at the Super Bowl because she and Stefon Diggs are on such rickety-rackety terms. And I think they've broken up now, but like, you know what she's like. She'll break up and make up 1,000 times with these baby daddies. But she left before the Super Bowl was over. And I saw an interview on the red carpet on the way in where someone asked Cardi B, do you have a message for Stefan Diggs for his Super Bowl today? Like an inspirational few words. And she gave a little side eye to the camera and she said, good luck, and walked in. And it was giving the energy of like, we argued the whole way here in the car. Like you could see that there was tension. And then the Patriots, for whom Stefan Diggs plays, they started losing. Bobby, I didn't watch the game, but Bobby said that it was not a very eventful game. The Seahawks won by a lot. She just left midway through, and people were speculating, well, why did she leave? And she unfollowed and blocked Stefan Diggs on socials. And I think it is because his other mother of his other child was there with her newborn and had front row seats. And I think Cardi took that to be, a sign of disrespect. And I would agree. Like, how about it's a sign of disrespect to have a newborn while your fiance is pregnant, or I don't even know if they're boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever their status was. Cardi B is expecting his child. Was that child born? I think she had the baby. Did she name it Touchdown? I'll get a producer to check. I thought she hadn't had the baby, but thinking back, I don't think she looked very pregnant at the Super Bowl. Oh, their baby was born in November, and they've affectionately referred to him online as Baby Brim and even used the nickname Touchdown. I think his name should absolutely be Touchdown. But yeah, that's disrespectful. So yeah, forget where this woman is seated, because honestly, she deserves a place at the Super Bowl if she's got her baby and that is her child's father, and that is a memory. Well, maybe not a memory, like a fake memory. The baby's too young to have memories, but photos and an experience where you can go, yeah, you saw your dad play at the Super Bowl. I think that's important for a baby, but as the legitimate girlfriend of this man who's had a baby, several babies with someone else, he's also charged with alleged strangulation, but still got to play at the Super Bowl. Strangulation of a woman. Great. He seems like a fab guy, but I think she deserves to be there with her baby, but I understand why it would upset Cardi B. And I love that Cardi B left. She was like, good luck, left in between, and then he lost. Yeah. But like, let's break up with the man who has a baby with someone else before the Super Bowl, I think. She could have got tickets on her own. She was in the halftime show. So that was great. If you haven't seen it, please watch it now. The Epstein files continue to get more and more sickening. And they have worn us down. They really have. They're like, let's do COVID. Everyone's going to be legitimately exhausted from that. We'll vaccinate everyone. We'll give them like vouchers for free takeaway, and we'll get them on their phones as much as possible. There will be an economic crisis, so they'll have to work even harder. Everyone's going to be really tired. And then slowly, we'll release bits of the Epstein files. They haven't even released the whole thing. They've redacted loads of names. But what is included, and a lot of people have done some really good work online. You can find podcasts or social accounts that have read the entirety of what has been released, and they'll summarize the worst parts for us. And they've done some really good work there. But there are horrible, horrible things about torture uttered in these emails, implicating loads of presumably important but redacted names. And I love that at the beginning they're like, we won't release any of this. We want to protect the victims. You don't want to protect the victims. You want to protect the pedophiles. Otherwise, why have you redacted their names? And everyone that I know really isn't into it. I'm not reading the Epstein files. My girlfriends are not reading the Epstein files. It's honestly too sick to face. And then I've seen other people who are heavily engaged and they go, why aren't we rioting in the streets about this? Like, what should we do? How come people aren't more motivated to like stand up and fight? And it's like, I think women especially are not surprised. Like, I'll tell you the real victim in all this, it's men, because most men have never been teenage girls. So they're learning for the first time that men are pedophiles. Like, we always knew they were. We have been, of the Britney and Christina generation, we have been spoken to by men in white vans, accosted on the street, objectified. Like, it is no surprise to anyone who has ever been a teenage child that men are pedophiles. Is it only powerful men? No. Poor men have the audacity to be pedophiles as well. But it's so sick and it's so sad, but it's not surprising. It's like when ICE started shooting white people in the face and the black people were like, yeah, we told you. I don't think anything's ever going to come of it. I don't know. But they keep just releasing a bit. Like, just get our central nervous system used to all of this sickness. Slowly, slowly, slowly. We're exhausted. We're not going to do anything about it. Everyone's going to get away scot-free. It's almost like they are proposing an amnesty where we like draw a line under, okay, people were pedophiles for a long time, and now let's please have fewer pedophiles. Who knows what's going to happen? Everyone is implicated. Bill Gates' wife has gone on record, ex-wife, by the grace of God, Melinda Gates, who donates huge sums of money to charities. And she won't say exactly what, but one of the things that came out is that he slipped her antibiotics because he had contracted an STD from one of these Epstein parties. It's not confirmed that he was with an underage. Oh, and this is the other thing. The language is ridiculous. Underage girl. Well, a girl is always underage. Like, it's child sex abuse. It's not like a young woman. It's not like a 13-year-old woman. It's child rape. That's all you can call it. Presumably, there were some adult women at these parties. I don't know. But who knew that the nerdiest nerd, like even Bill Gates, is implicated in all of this? And I used to think he was a really nice man. I saw a video where he was working alongside someone. I don't want to implicate Ronnie Chang, but I think Ronnie was presenting this piece. And Bill Gates was installing like affordable sanitation in countries that didn't have working toilets, and he was funding ways to do it really cheaply. Like, this is what's so creepy, is you can be like a good guy and a very, very bad man in many ways at the same time. So how do we know who the baddies are? Like, it goes back to what Fred was asking me a few weeks ago about, like, well, who are the bad strangers? I'm like, oh God, I don't know, Fred. I don't know. On the subject of my feelings about men, you know that I don't set out to hurt men's feelings. If I do, that is just a bonus for me. But I don't trust men. I've spoken about it in my stand-up. I've spoken about it in my life. I do believe that every man on earth is one stupid mistake away from exploding his whole life every day. And I was dealing with a plumber the other day because I'm getting a lot of jobs done around the house. This is not the belching electrician, but now we had a plumber come around. And I have dealt with him before. I really like him a lot. And during that time, there was a very public celebrity breakup. This was like a few weeks ago. And he was asking me if I knew the celebrities or I knew what's going on, because I don't know why he has daughters or he's like engaged in pop culture. And I said, you know what? I don't know what happened. I can only assume that men betray, men are threatened by really successful women, men are unfaithful. I don't know what happened in this specific instance. But he said, well, you certainly wouldn't have cheated. No one could cheat on her. She's amazing. I said, yeah, she is amazing. Men cheat on amazing women, though, so I don't know. And he said, my wife is amazing. You know, I would never cheat. There are men, Catherine, I promise you, like I have been with my wife since we were children. And we got together when we were 14 years old. We've been together ever since. Look at my lock screen on my phone. I'm obsessed with this woman. Look how beautiful she is. And she is. Like, he has this very vivacious, beautiful wife. They have grown children. They have grandchildren. He's just like obsessed with her. And then he did a little bit more work, blah, blah, blah. And he said, oh, you know, I love coming to your neighborhood. I cannot believe how he forgot himself. He said to me, yeah, I used to have a girlfriend who lived on this road. We dated for 6 months. I said, oh, yeah. And I didn't follow it up, but you could see in his voice that he realized he shouldn't have said what he said after he had just told me he's been faithful to the wife that he's been obsessed with since he was 14 years old. Like, oh, at what point, and by the way, he's not from this country. So at what point in your life did you have time to have a girlfriend for 6 months in my neighborhood? Was it when you were 12 living abroad? Were you pen pals? No, you cheated on your wife. You had a whole mistress in my neighborhood for 6 months. But I did not confront him with any of this because he's still, you know, tending to my boiler, not a euphemism. And I just went, oh yeah. And I think he could see by my reaction, I just got really quiet, and he knows I'm not a fucking idiot. He had confessed to me that he cheated on his wife. And then he's like, yeah, and I ended it after 6 months anyway, blah, blah, blah. He like moved right along to the next thing. But it's like, they're easy to catch at least. They tell on themselves all the fucking time. And I'll tell you who else is too honest for his own good. My beautiful husband, Bobby. He is honest to a fault, and he really pissed me off the other day because he came home, he'd had the children out, I was at work, and we met in the afternoon. He had taken the children to a soft play, and he said, I told a lie today. I said, what lie did you tell? He said, Catherine, there was a woman there with her children, and she approached me, and she had heard you on the podcast or read something about us potty training our kids. And she had a 2.5-year-old who was not potty trained. And she said to me, like, how do you guys do it? I'm really struggling with the potty training. It's making me feel inferior, like I'm not a good mom, and I've been trying everything, but she just won't go in the potty. And Bobby said to her, oh, yeah, Fred, he's still in nappies at night. Like, why throw Fred under the bus at 4.5 years old? He's like, yeah, Fred's wearing nappies at night. And he said, I think Fenna was fully potty trained by age 2. False. I said, Bobby, why? Why would you say that to someone? He goes, well, I didn't know what to say. And she seemed upset, and she was having like a rough day, and I didn't want her to feel bad. So I said that Fenna wasn't potty trained until 2. And I was like, Fenna was potty trained. But I stand on this smug ass hill all the time about how I've potty trained my kids under 1. You can't go tell a stranger that I'm a liar just to make her feel better about herself. This is going to spread like wildfire. And Bobby's like, yeah, well, I didn't really know like the age. And so I panicked and I just said 2. Threw every single family member that he has under the bus, Fred, Fenna, and myself. And I was like, why would you do that? He goes, well, it was just to make someone else feel good. I said, do things to make your wife feel good. Instead of telling lies to make the general public feel better, tell the truth and make your wife look really clever. But he can't do that. He's British now. He's like been sucked up by this culture of small lies to smooth over social situations. And here's something else that I don't feel happy to say, because I understand that all of us are one stroke of bad luck away from being unhoused. People struggle with addiction, mental health problems. There is not enough social structure in this country to attend to all those things, and people become unhoused. I get this. But we live not far from High Barnet Station. And there is a ramp that goes up from the station to a girls' school. It is a all-girls secondary school that's at the top of the ramp. And every day that I am using the tube, I don't use the tube every day, but sometimes we drive there and we take that tube. I see so many little girls in their uniforms going to school. They come from all over. They take that tube line. They walk up that exact ramp because it goes directly to the front door of their school. They leave school down that ramp, get on the tube, fine. So currently there seems to be like an encampment where there are some unhoused people, and I haven't seen these people. I don't know how many they are. I don't know who they are, but they have built a little town tent sort of tarp thing on that ramp, like inside the ramp. And I'm sure, like I said, it could happen to any of us. Being unhoused, even for me, like it's not something that I think I would be totally immune to. But a lot of times when someone is living under a tarp on the ramp of a tube station, I worry that there might be some drug dependency issues, some substance abuse issues, some mental health issues that maybe there is a safer place for them than the direct path to an all-girls secondary school. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just sort of made my stomach flip when I saw it because there were these little girls, again, just walking up the ramp. And maybe the people under this tarp are not talking to the girls or bothering the girls or anything else with these girls. But if I were the mother of a young woman walking up that closed in ramp, and certainly like sometimes when they get out of school, if they've got an after school activity, it's dark now. I don't like it. So what is the solution? Because everybody knows that this little tent tarp area is erected there now. could, I don't know, like there's no perfect solution. And it makes me sound incredibly right wing to be like, move them on. But I just think, yes, these people have every right to exist, and often in public areas. And really, I am sympathetic to their situation. But the entrance to a small girls' school, I don't like it. Sorry if that makes me sound super radical. I do not like it. You know who I remind myself of now is this true idiot that I forgot to mention, Lady Victoria Hervey. So I don't know where this woman comes from. Hang on, I'll have a producer check. All right, Lady Victoria Hervey is a British aristocrat, socialite, former it girl who has remained a staple of the tabloid press and reality television for over 2 decades. She is the daughter of the 6th Marquess of Bristol. We don't have to deal with bullshit like this in Canada. Nobody is the daughter of the 6th Marquess of Bristol in Canada. So she's in 1976, she rose to fame. Oh, she was born in 1976, and then she was a prominent fixture in the 90s and 2000s on the London party scene. She started modeling. She's 6 feet tall, so she walked for high-profile brands like Christian Dior and appeared on numerous magazine covers. She transitioned into reality TV, appearing on shows such as Celebrity Love Island. Really? I'm desperate to watch Celebrity Love Island. So the first one that had like Callum Best, I think this would have been way back in the 90s or the early 2000s. How can I access original Celebrity Love Island? If you know, please write me an email or tell me on my socials @Kathbaum. And the email is tellingeverybodyeverything@gmail.com. So then she launched a swimwear brand called Ladyship. She wrote a semi-autobiographical novel. Fine. Okay, these are her links to the royal family and Jeffrey Epstein. She briefly dated Prince Andrew in 1999 and has remained a staunch defender of him throughout his legal troubles and association with Jeffrey Epstein. So yeah, and that has all been weird. But basically, whoever this woman is, I don't know why she sounds Australian. Let me ask, why does she sound Australian? That doesn't make any sense. She does sound Australian to me when she talks. But maybe, no. The Harry Styles effect, what are you talking about? Oh, Harry Styles, yeah, my AI is like, Harry Styles sounded Australian the other day. Okay, not relevant. So this Lady Victoria Hervey was in an interview, I think from a while ago, where it was honestly, if it had been satire, I think it would have been the funniest take ever. She's like, yeah, you are a loser. If you're not in the Epstein files, who are you? It's a collection of only the most powerful people ever. If you're not in it, you're nothing but a loser. And I was like, what a hot fucking take. They're like, are you in the Epstein files? She's like, of course. I'm a powerful person. I'm not a loser. Sorry, I think I would much rather be a loser than a pedophile. And not to say everyone featured in these emails is a pedophile. There's like a football player, Russell Wilson, was it? Russell someone. Bobby said he was in the Epstein files because he was trying to buy a jet off someone, like a jet dealer, a private jet dealer. And then the dealer was messaging Jeffrey Epstein being like, yeah, this guy's really keen to buy the jet. And so he just woke up one day, was in the Epstein files. Was like, I had no idea whose jet it was. I didn't know what I was buying. Anyway, yeah, there are some innocent bystanders who are in it. But to have that take, if you're not in the Epstein files, you're a loser. Awesome. It has officially been, in 2 days' time, it will be 2 months since I traveled to original York, not New York, Old York, and I had surgery with Dr. Nick Rhodes at the Coppergate Clinic. Who is Nick Rhodes? He is an esteemed consultant plastic surgeon who has trained many guys, many of these London guys who charge more than Dr. Nick Rhodes. But I believe personally, and it is a very personal decision, I believe he is far more talented. I have seen a lot of his before and after work, both in photos and in the flesh. I know real people who've been to see him. I think that is very important when choosing a surgeon. And just like Dr. Stephen Levine, who did Kris Jenner, said to me, I believe that you and your surgeon have to have the same idea of what pretty is. So Dr. Nick Rhodes at the Coppergate Clinic has done some work on my friends. I think they look beautiful. I knew what they looked like before. I know what they look like now. I think that he and I have the same idea of pretty. So around November time, I kind of made this decision. I was coming to the end of not November. Oh, it would have been like August. Yeah, I was coming to the end. When the fuck was the baby born? October. I was coming to the end of my pregnancy with Holland. I knew that I wouldn't be having any more kids. And in my pregnancies, my face especially, I don't really care too much about my body. Like, I'm not a swimsuit model yet, but I use my face for work. And it's important to me that I recognize myself in the mirror as the woman that I feel like. And it's important, I think, for my marriage that Bobby and we both get to enjoy the kids. I think that we should both have the same amount of physical damage. And after all those babies, I was pregnant 6 times in 5 years. We did not have the same amount of physical damage. Bobby's still a hunk, and my face has gotten fat and thin and fat and thin and fat and thin. So I was coming to the end, and almost metaphorically, I needed to do something to reclaim my identity, to reclaim my autonomy, to claw back the face that I had in 2019. I'm not crazy. I'm not trying to wind it back to 2006. I'm just trying to look the way I did pre-COVID, pre-6 pregnancies in 5 years. So I reach out to Dr. Nick Rhodes' wife. I was just thinking, should I say her name? Maybe I'll keep her name private. She's a private citizen, but she's the beautiful face of the clinic. I reached out to her. I got her number through my friend who had been to Dr. Nick Rhodes. And I said, yeah, I just want to talk about steps forward and things that I might want to do after my baby's born, how soon I can do it, when I can come and have a consultation. And speaking to this woman on the phone, God, did I love her. She is smart. She is funny. She's really realistic. She's got 4 kids like I do. She's Irish. So we have the same ethnic background. And I know that by her WhatsApp profile photo, she's a stunning woman. So right away I'm thinking, okay, Nick Rhodes and I definitely have the same idea of what's pretty because this is his beautiful wife. She probably has similar ethnic features to me because my family's Irish. She's nice. She's cool. She's totally transparent. And I'm going to get in and have a consultation right away. So the surgery that I have hinted about but not yet totally revealed was a facelift. Yes, a full facelift. A little bit of fat transfer to my cheekbone area and a small bleph. A bleph is when they take a tiny bit of your eyelid skin, though not too much, and then they'll usually, to avoid hollowness, put a little bit of fat back in there too. So I had some fat put in my upper face, my eyelids, and then I had a facelift, which is a facelift. And the people that I've told, because I never intended to gatekeep this, they're like, what is it, a mini facelift? Is it a ponytail facelift? Is it a deep plane facelift? Is it a neck lift? And it's it's a facelift. It's the facelift that is the most modern technique that the surgeons are doing now, where they pull up your your deep muscle structures. Sorry, I'm not a surgeon, so I don't know if I'm using the right words. And then also the skin, because I think facelifts got a bad reputation back in the 60s and 70s, whatever, when the technique was just skin and people would look quite different and they would look maybe like they were in a wind tunnel. But basically, as you age, your skin loses elasticity and you actually lose bone density and you lose volume. So baby Holland, you look at her chubby little fat face, we lose that when we get older. So if you want to reclaim what was lost, then there's nothing to do but pick up the muscle and the skin and also return some fat to the face. A lot of people have been oh, shouldn't you have waited till you were 50 or 60 or, maybe. And my mother was very public about having her facelift, I think 2 years ago now. And she looked absolutely amazing for doing that in her 60s. But I just knew, the clue is in the name. If I wanted to lift my face, then the surgery that I needed was a facelift. And a lot of people think that maybe I've just done the neck or I've just done the lower face because that's where you notice it the most. And people have said to me, well, all I want is to do my neck. Sorry, I'm moving my mouth away from the microphone now to show my snatched jawline. You notice it most in your neck, but gravity happens everywhere. So if your cheekbones are dropping a bit, if your mid-face is dropping a bit, if your neck is dropping a bit, you'll notice it in the neck first. But you just, I think, holistically need to lift the whole thing. So my incision goes from just over my ear, because I did not do a brow lift. Some people will combine it with, I don't know what kind of scars, like they cut in your hairline, I guess, and lift your brow. Don't know. My incision starts above my ear and it goes in this little, don't know what this anatomy is called, trachea is my guess, tragus, don't know. It's a part of your ear, and then behind my ear. And I have a little incision under my neck too. And I'm telling you, I went to Christmas parties. I took the kids to Lapland. I went to Royal Albert Hall for caroling. I did all of the Christmas stuff. I looked after a newborn baby. I brought an 8-week-old baby to the consultation. How old was she on December 12th? Yeah, she was 8 weeks old when I did this surgery. I went with a maternity nurse. I stayed one night in York, and then I drove home with the baby the next day feeling 0 out of 10 pain. I was a little bit concerned about the pain. I've had 4 babies with no drugs, but like when someone gives you a facelift, it's a feeling that is totally unknown. I was like, oh my gosh, is it going to hurt too much for me to be looking after a baby? And my mom described her pain at some points as 8 out of 10, which I feel is high. But no, I had 0, not 1 out of 10, not 2 out of 10, 0 out of 10 pain. The beauty is you're pretty numb afterwards. And I was bruised and I was swollen. And I think I am still a little bit swollen. But basically I just went about my daily life from like day one. And they sent me home with some paracetamol. If I had needed stronger drugs, I think that was available, but I didn't. I took ibuprofen, paracetamol for like 3 days. The hardest part was probably I had to sleep sitting up, but because I'm so exhausted and I have so many kids and I've slept in so many weird positions to accommodate breastfeeding and everything else, sleeping like propped up was fine. And really, even if you haven't had a facelift, you should be sleeping like not on your face. It's just kind of common sense. They can tell, like if a surgeon looks at you, they can go, oh, you sleep on your right side. So like try to sleep on your back, try to sleep slightly propped up if you care about that stuff. Equally, if you don't care and you want to age like totally naturally with 0 intervention, God bless you. Like do that. I got a facelift for you. I didn't do it for me. This was a selfless act. Sure, it's nice to recognize myself a bit more in the mirror. It is wonderful to have a super snatched little teensy lollipop neck. I never even had that in my 20s. I think just like genetically, I didn't have the neck that I wanted. And for a long time, I thought that I could get that with filler in the jawline, with lasers. And I do support energy-based lasers to like maintain some skin elasticity and skin quality, but you get to a point where if you really want to pull it back, you just need a facelift. And that's what I got. And I laughed because one of the most important things that you can do following a facelift surgery, or probably any surgery on your face, is ice it. You just have to ice, baby, like constantly ice that face, because there is a feeling of tightness and a little bit of a heat feeling, especially if you get a CO2 laser, which is something they recommend with a facelift for most people, but not me, because I have had pathological sun avoidance my entire life, so I didn't need it. But I had all this ice prepared. I was really following the rules, icing my face a lot, and I laughed because I thought of some of these celebrities who are around my age who look suspiciously amazing all of a sudden, and they love to say like, oh, well, I've just been icing my face. And I held the ice pack to my jaw and I thought, yeah, bitch, I've been icing my face too, as part of my recovery from a facelift. These women are having facelifts. Like I also did it just out of curiosity to be like, are those celebrity women having facelifts? And now with my before and after, I feel even more confident that yes, they absolutely are. And it's not always this like radical thing. I think Violet, especially without betraying her privacy too much, she's really cool. I've raised someone who's body confident for the most part. Like She has talked in the press before about like, yeah, I'll get lip filler when I'm 18. I think she was half joking. She was concerned because she was like, this is going to look horrible. You're going to come back looking totally different. And I don't look different at all. I look a little bit refreshed. My neck is amazing. I think I look the way I looked in like 2020 before I got pregnant with Fred, to be very honest with you. I didn't do a lip lift because Dr. Rhodes is really good at just looking at your face and going, no, you are not a candidate for a lip lift. You have a long face. You have like a little turned up Dr. Seuss nose. I'm paraphrasing. These are my words, not his. But he's like, a lip lift will not suit you. I appreciate that. And because I followed like his guidance and I had a beautiful, skilled surgeon do my facelift, it doesn't look wild. And I think that we've got to step away from these ideas that we have. Like, and God rest her soul, I love Joan Rivers, but people assume that a facelift always looks botched or always looks crazy or always looks like you've been in a wind tunnel, you look dramatically different, and they think it's for older ladies. But I mean, it's for anyone who feels like they have lost a lot of skin elasticity and they want to mend that laxity with surgery. Surgery is what is going to do it. Moving forward, I think I will have a little Botox again with Dr. Nina. I will maintain my beautiful snatched jawline with energy-based lasers. I will get regular therapeutic facials. I'm in a position to do that. If you would like a facelift and you're not in a financial position to do it, I would say that you shouldn't like do it on the cheap. You can get good surgery abroad, but some people go just for the discount. Do not do that, but at least you can go to sleep at night knowing that you're not going to waste your money on like creams or this or that promise you dramatic results. Sure, there are treatments and creams and lasers and things that do enhance, you know, they'll give you like something of a result. But when you see these before and afters with dramatic results, I can tell you now from experience, if it is a dramatic result, those people have had a facelift. And so have I. Okay, this is a really fun little segment by Andrew, who wrote some listener dilemma emails as if they were from the Epstein files. So he said, try as we might, we just can't look away from the Epstein files. And now that things are coming into sharper focus after the walloping dump released by the U.S. Justice Department last week, we have a duty to telling everybody everything, listeners, to keep you in the know. And this is the only reason I know about it because Andrew keeps telling me, but Andrew, it's making me sick. Okay, so Andrew said, this is mainly for your information, but you could read it to the listeners. I'm not going to lie. Catherine, there's some truly dark shit. The hollowed out Justice Department's redacting team failed to flag some actual illegal material that was released to the masses, but did manage to hide the identities of people who were unambiguously trafficking single-digit aged children to Epstein and committing it to a paper trail. Hearteningly, many European countries, including the UK, have announced investigations of key nationals named in this latest trove. While the elites are circling their gilded wagons to protect each other, the famously down-to-earth Lady Victoria Hervey, who may or may not have an ex that appears more throughout the Epstein files so far than Jesus did in the Bible, gave this radioactively hot take to Tom Swarbrick on LBC. If you were on the scene and you were powerful, like, to be honest, if you were not in those files, it would be an insult. It would just mean you are a loser, which is what I mentioned before. And she really does sound Australian to me. Okay, so far they've indeed read like a who's who of who's heinous. Not so virginal eccentric billionaire Richard Branson wrote to Epstein, anytime you're in the area, would love to see you as long as you bring your harem. Andrew, we pronounce harem harem over here, just so you know. Wow. Spiritual guru Deepak Chopra offered up this nasty namaste. God is a construct. Cute girls are real. The OG non-Fergalicious Sarah Fergie Ferguson was found to have borrowed $18,000 from Epstein for rent. And after telling The Telegraph in 2011, I deeply regret that Jeffrey Epstein became involved in any way with me. I abhor pedophilia. That's a brave stance. had emailed him to apologize for those comments and was even found to have lunched with him while he was under house arrest in 2009. The mother of 2 young girls. That's great. Oh my God. She also offered to introduce her girls to him, which could have been innocuous, but yikes. And the award for most Austin Powers villain-sounding name found in the files goes to Countess Debonair von Bismarck, a Knightsbridge boutique owner of British and German noble descent. Her contact was found in his black book and was most likely just one in the constellation of oblivious high society movers and shakers whose only crime was attending a dinner, but that name does take the cake. I wonder if it's too late to change any of the kids' names to Debonair. Holland Debonair, she goes by Debbie for short. Leaving aside the fact that it all suggests a dam is about to break open on a global network of ultra-wealthy pedos, members of American Congress are going to be able to access unredacted files as of this week, and you can safely bet there will be some auspicious leaks following that. There were several instances of men caught behaving badly that sound like they were ripped out of the pages of Telling Everybody Everything listener dilemmas. So for fun, in quotation marks, because none of this is fun, here are a few of the findings phrased as if the wives and girlfriends of these Epstein associates were writing into my podcast. Dear Catherine, I'm the wife of a famous doctor, longevity influencer, protein advocate, and biohacker whose name I won't mention, but will say if he was offered a hot beverage in the late afternoon, he might reply by saying, "A tea? Yeah." He was all set to join a prominent American news network as a contributor to spread the gospel of consuming as much protein as humanly possible until this past week when his name was all over the Epstein files. In one email sent February 2016, he wrote, "Pussy is indeed low carb. Still awaiting results on gluten content, though." And in 2015, Epstein emailed him a redacted image with the subject line, "Got a fresh shipment," which my husband responded to by saying, "The biggest problem with becoming friends with you, the life you lead is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul." Apparently, there are more than 1,700 mentions of my husband in the newly released files, and many in the medical community are pointing out that doctors are legally required to report suspicions of child abuse. Based on the messages, my husband and Epstein were in regular contact between 2015 and 2018, which was years after Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting prostitution from a minor. However, the worst part is that in his 2023 Sunday Times best-selling book, he recounted the harrowing moment he received a call from his wife, me, telling him that our infant son had suddenly stopped breathing on an evening in July 2017. "I stayed in New York, busy with my important work," he admitted in the book. "My son's cardiac arrest happened on a Tuesday, but I did not come home to San Diego until Friday the following week, 10 days later." What he failed to mention, however, was that according to newly released emails, he was making plans to meet up with Epstein, who was already embroiled with allegations of trafficking minors, even offering to change his own schedule to make the convicted sex offender's day easier. Talk about receipts of deceit. Since we met in undergrad, there's no prenup, and he's been very apologetic, showering me with jewelry, flowers, and of course, protein powder. But I don't know what to do. Should I stay for the good of my son? Should I get off this sinking ship before it explodes? Or should I talk it out before I walk it out? Sincerely, a betrayed biohacker's bride. I mean, ma'am, your husband's name is mentioned 1,700 times in the Epstein files. So you are either married to a pedo, an enabler of a pedo, or the stupidest fucking man on the planet who thinks like, what is he talking about? Being like, "Oh, your life is so crazy. I can't tell a soul." What did he think Epstein was up to? He knew. He was either a participant or he knew. And I'm sorry, your son had a heart attack and he didn't see you for 10 days because he was cavorting around with Jeffrey Epstein. So all of the protein powder in the world is not worth your dignity. And you know what? As a mother, he hung out with Epstein over tending to a critically ill infant. I think your son will be very disappointed later on that you did not leave this man after learning what you've learned. Leave. Next email. Catherine, I'm the ex-wife of a tech titan some might consider to be the gatekeeper of the windows of the world. You might even go as far to say his manhood is both micro and soft. We've been divorced since 2021, and although we had some decent enough nerd sex in the early years of our marriage that resulted in 3 children, I'd always been uneasy about his dealings with Epstein, and I suspected his infidelity. I thought I'd moved past the muck of our past relationship and have publicly expressed, quote, unbelievable sadness for the survivors extremely recently on a podcast. A new revelation came to light in this Epstein file dump that made my system crash. In a draft email to my ex-husband, Epstein claims that my ex contracted an STI after encounters with, quote, Russian girls, and alleges that my ex asked for help obtaining antibiotics he could slip into my drinks without knowing to apparently treat me for an STI he gave to me that I didn't know I had. Would appreciate any insight on this. Yours truly, a former PC user. Well, obviously, this is the aforementioned Melinda Gates, and luckily she's out. She has done the right thing. I wonder if you couldn't get more money out of Bill Gates. He's got a lot. You contributed heavily to his wealth, by the way. I'm not calling it his money. It is both of yours. But I think the place of that money is safest out of his hands. Surely you can sue someone for like physical endangerment. Like, is there a law? Let me ask a producer. Okay, let's see. Gemini, is there a law against trying to slip antibiotics in your wife's drink because you cheated on her and gave her an STI?
Yes, secretly giving someone medication without their consent can be considered assault or other criminal offenses, regardless of the reason. Just reminder that I can't provide medical advice and that you should always consult a healthcare professional.
Well, how about the doctor from the last email? Melinda Gates, take this man to the fucking cleaners. What a disgusting, like the fact, I hate that he's embroiled in this because I thought he was like one of the only just like kind nerds out there. And it just goes to show like what else are these men allegedly capable of? Here's one from someone in the UK. Dearest Catherine, I'm a high-level government employee in the UK, and although my post started as a labour of love, it's grown into a labour of loathing in recent months. I appointed a man I thought I could trust to a high-level diplomatic position. We'll call Peter M. No, upon second thought, that's far too obvious. Let's just call him P. Mandelson. And although I knew of his dealings and wheelings with Jeffrey Epstein, I chalked it up to blokes being blokes, and he assured me that it was in the past and there were no further skeletons in the cupboard. Well, this latest trove of Epstein files has made clear that this disgraced diplomat was forwarding market-sensitive information to Epstein whilst serving in the cabinet dating back to 2009. How am I to trust a moneyed British lord ever again? Honestly, the only thing I regret more than cozying up to this derelict diplomat is instructing the HMRC to collect an obscenely unfair tax sum from you this year. Sincerely, Down and Out on Downing Street. I wish you guys knew how much fucking tax I had to pay, and I can't tell you because it's rude, but like it's so much. I loved this, Andrew. I loved this. There are a lot of fucking sickos out there, so keep your heads up. Keep your eyes open. Someone on TikTok was like, oh yeah, not all men, not all men. Like you hear these men now again coming out being like, whoa, not all men, not all men. And they were like, okay, hire a male babysitter then. And now I hate to say this because, we had a male babysitter when I was little. I was unmolested by him. He was super fun. He played sports. There are male, mannies who are good, but you would feel hire a male babysitter then, like an old man. Would you hire an elderly lady to look after your children, or would you hire an old man? to look after your children. Can you imagine? You put out an ad to be like looking for a nanny, and like a 65-year-old man shows up being like, I love kids. Are you going to hire that guy? Not all men, my dick. Thank you for listening to another episode of Telling Everybody Everything. I'm on Mock the Week this Sunday. Mock the Week is back on TLC, and that is incredibly exciting, and I'm so pleased. I've always loved the producers, the whole team. I'm a huge fan of Dara O'Brien, who is, of course, the only host for the show. Please check it out on Sunday for more on news and politics. Bye.